So today I'm going to show you how to create a stencil of Edgar Allan Poe. This image I just took from the internet. It's a standard image that you can find easily enough. So all you have to do is, once you've loaded the image, I'm using Photoshop, is I just go Image, Adjustments, Auto Levels. And what Auto Levels does, it just darkens it and fixes up the light. Next I go to Filter, Artistic, and then I go to Cutout. Now Cutout I use, not all the time, but most of the time I use it to create my stencils. Now the important information is down here, is the number of levels, and usually that refers to the number of layers that you want, because it actually breaks all the shadows up into 4 separate colours. So you'll have black, and then you'll have a lighter grey, and then a lighter grey, and then white. So there's 4 levels to that, so that'll be a 4-layered stencil. I'm just going to shrink it back a bit, like so. If you go 3 layers, the detail actually becomes less. 2 layers, it becomes more simpler. So you can determine how complicated you want the stencil. I'm going to keep mine at 4-layer stencil. Now edge simplicity refers to the lines. If you have simpler lines, it actually simplifies the face out, as you can see, and obviously that's too much. So I'm just going to keep it at, probably keep it at 1, because I prefer to carve as much character into the face as I can to get the best possible result. Edge fidelity I don't worry about too much, and then I click OK, and then it converts the image. So that's basically your stencil there. Now what you have to do is break it up into the layers. So you'll be looking at carving everything out that's black. So I'll be carving all of these areas out, and then I'll be carving out the darker grey and then the lighter grey. And the white I don't normally carve out. What I do is I spray paint white as the base coat, and everything else comes up on top. So I'm going to print that out 5 times onto overhead transparency film, and then I'll talk about the process of cutting it out then. Now the overhead transparency film, I just wanted to mention quickly, has a rough side and a smooth side. You actually want to print on the rough side because that is what the ink is going to stick to. If you print it on the smooth side, you will find that the image will just run and you won't get a nice crisp image. So when you're loading it into the printer, make sure you put it in the right way so that it prints on the rough side. I'm going to be creating ATC sized cards. That's about 4 by 6. So I've actually, using an A4 piece of overhead projection paper, I've printed it out 4 times on this sheet. It does make it a little bit more complicated to cut out because things are obviously finer and smaller, but I've been doing stencils for quite a while, so it's not too difficult for me. So what you've got to do now is you've got to look at what you want to carve out. So for the first layer, I'm going to carve out everything that's black. Now obviously if I carved out everything black, the stencil might not stay together. So what I'm going to do is, I think for this first one, I'm going to carve out all of this area here first, and the eyes, the moustache, and this bit here. If I might be able to get away with that as well. I'll see how I go. But I might have to create a second black piece for something that's suspended or something, but I'll carve it out and have a look, and then I will show you. So first of all, I'm just going to carve out the black. That's layer 1. So as you can see, I've pretty much cut out all of the black area from the first stencil. I'm not going to worry about cutting out this, that's too fiddly, and I'm pretty happy with that. So that's the black area. So whatever I spray now is going to be black with this stencil. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the next one and then look at the next tone, which is a darker grey, and then I'm going to cut out those areas on this stencil. Okay, so I've carved out the lighter grey, well it's actually the dark grey, and I've carved it out there. So next I'm going for the lighter grey again, which is this next tone. So I'm going to do that one on this one, and I think that's it. And then the last layer is white, and what I'll do for the white layer is I'll just carve out the whole face shape and the whole neck area here, just cut it out, because that's what you're spraying first. So you don't really have to cut out the detail, because you'll be spraying it first and then you'll be laying each consecutive colour on top, so you don't have to worry about the detail. Okay, so I've cut out the 4 stencils. So we have white. So this is what I'll be spraying first. This is stencil number 1. White, light grey, the light grey area, dark grey area, and then finally black. So that's the 4 stencils. So I'm going to take it downstairs and spray it, just to see how the overall look of the stencil is. Just quickly, it's always good to mark your stencils on the back what colour they are. So I put white, light grey, dark grey and black. That way when you're spraying you don't get confused, because it can become confusing. Because I'm actually going to spray the stencil on a white background just to give it a test, there's really no need for me to use the white stencil, the space for the white, because if I was using a coloured background then I would spray paint the white, but I can actually leave that one out for the first process. So I'm going to start with the light grey stencil. Now it's very important that you get the registration right. So what I do is, I don't know if you can see it, but I just cut this corner out, there and there, and same as on the other side, so you can line all the stencils up correctly. So what I'll do is I'll make sure that I sit the stencil right on the corner, like so. So every stencil that I use from now on, I will sit it in exactly the same spot. So I'll make sure I put that down there to hold it in place. And then I'll spray a light grey. Now, to spray a light grey, I normally spray paint black and then white over the top to bring it back up to light. So that's the light grey. And now I'm going over with the dark grey. That'll be the next stencil that I put on. It's gonna sit in exactly the same spot. Make sure the registration's right, like so. And now I'll spray the darker colour. And now finally I'll spray the black. And there you go. What I'll do is I'll just refine some of the areas, but it's not bad for an hour's work really, just to get it to that stage. What I might do is spray, when I'm spraying the dark grey, what sometimes I do is, to get the definition, is I actually use a blue spray paint and white. So the blue gives it that depth that you need, and it seems to show a lot better. So next one I will spray a blue dark layer instead of a light grey. But yep, that's how you create the stencil. Pretty cool. And now what I'll do is I'll come back with some pastels or crayons, and then I might even cut it out like this and then stick it onto a new piece of paper and collage it. So yeah, have fun and happy creating.